The title of this podcast is Be Intentional. This was inspired from a meeting that I had this week with a couple of colleagues who are also doing the practice. One of the colleagues shared with me that she had listened to me over the past year when she attended meetings that where I talked about the importance of doing the practice on a regular basis, to not stop doing it, and not just doing the exercises of the practice, which include 5 daily exercises, one of which is to name 5 things that you're grateful for, to read 1 page out of the Mayo Clinic Guide to Stress-Free Living book, to engage in 3 to 5 minutes of physical activity, whether it be stretching, walking, or something more rigorous, and to listen to a faith-based talk or a podcast that informs and inspires kindness, compassion, and a sense of gratitude. And then you text that out to everyone that you are doing the practice with as part of an accountability and support for your well-being practice. And then the next step is to apply the principles of the practice throughout the day, especially when things don't go the way that your mind says they should go. And listen to this colleague share with myself and another work colleague that she didn't take that very seriously. She's very rooted in her religious faith, and that she didn't think that she needed to do the practice every single day. But there were a cascade of life events that occurred in her life with her family that were pretty intense. They were disturbing. They bothered her. There was a lot of suffering. Her One of her children was going through a really rough time, and she didn't know how to help them. She tried everything, much of which required a lot of financial resources, but it was quite a struggle for her. Life had become a struggle, and what she remembered is that her practice. It took her about 8 months of suffering to where she came back to the practice. She saw that life was becoming darker and darker for her. The hole that she was in, it was getting deeper and deeper. And so she didn't have anything to root her in it. I mean, she was still going to church on a regular basis, doing these other things. But what this well-being practice does, it complements your faith. It supports you throughout the day when you apply the principles throughout the day, especially when life is not ideal or your mind tells you life isn't ideal. And so she said to me, she said, Keith, I wish I would have listened, but I'm learning the hard way. So that's why I'm back at this meeting after 3 or 4 months of being away. First of all, I acknowledge her for just being, open and vulnerable about her recent experience and the challenges that she and her family are experiencing. And then I talked to her and just said that, hey, that's the very reason I don't let up. I don't let up because things are good. I don't let up because this is just my new way of living. This is my new norm. I want to minimize suffering in my life, and I want to live with an open heart and serve every moment that appears in front of me, whether it be a life situation or people. I want to be at my absolute best. And I found that the practice is what helps me do that. And so, and she said, you know what? When I used to think about how committed you are to living a healthy life, both exercise and nutrition, the way you move through life, and especially your application of the practice, I thought it was discipline. I just thought you had a lot of discipline. But that is kind of a heavy word for people that struggle with consistency, whether it be exercise or they come up with reasons or excuses why they can't do something. Discipline can be kind of a heavy word, like not everybody has it. She said, that's not what I think you're doing. She said, what you're doing is you are intentional. You have made it very clear in your mind. And I think that's what intentionality is about. It's about clarity. She said, you've made it very clear of the things that help you be at your best, to experience life at the highest level. And that doesn't include winning everything that you go out for. It doesn't include promotions or raises. Those things might happen. It doesn't include meeting the love of your life or staying together with a person forever and having children. She said, that's not how I think you define it. I think you define it as every day becoming more conscious, becoming a better version of yourself. I said, yeah, that's right. She said, and what makes that a reality for you is that you're intentional about doing it every day. And so I encourage you, whether your teacher happens to be in the form of a work colleague or a spouse or your children or life circumstance. And again, I say these are your teachers. These are the events and people that are in your life, the events unfolding in your life and people that are showing up in your life that represent an opportunity for you to let go of your lower self, to cultivate being able to handle these things so you can increase your level of consciousness, which reduces suffering so you can really experience this wonderful thing that we have called life. And I encourage you to do that. Let go of all the excuses. When one of the things that I haven't, missed in over 30 years is I've never missed a workout. I've never broken shoulder from snowboarding, being sick, uh, being in school. I have never missed a workout. And the reason I have never missed a workout is because, as my friend said, I'm intentional about it. Now, there are a lot of things I have missed. I missed opportunities to be kind. I missed opportunities to be grateful instead of complaining. I missed opportunities to connect with others. I missed opportunities to accept rather than judge. Oh, I missed a lot of opportunities. But because of the practice and my intentionality, I'm not missing those. I'm missing very few of those. And the moment that I notice that I'm missing it, the awareness is there, and I double down on my intentionality about showing up as my best. So I encourage you, with whatever's going on in your life, for the things that will help you be your best, to let go of what's causing you the suffering. And it's not what's on the outside world. It's what's happening inside. To work on yourself, to let that go, requires you to be intentional. Be intentional about that. When your spouse does something and you want to close your heart, or your significant other does that, be intentional about keeping it open. When your children do something and you're worried about them, be intentional or working on yourself to let go of worry. Because worry is one of those things, just like anxiety. It's 100% cost, no benefit. No amount of worry or anxiety changes the situation one bit. So you have to change your relationship to the situation. And that's where applying the principles of something like the practice can help. So be intentional.